Welcome to this deep dive. We're looking into some fascinating research and notes around the Share Tree character and culture framework.
That's right.
And our mission today really is to unpack how focusing on individual character can build up a whole organizational system.
And lead to some pretty remarkable results, tangible results.
Exactly. So let's start with this core image Share Tree uses. The life rings of a tree. You see a cross-section.
Yeah, those rings.
Those narrower, denser ones. They form when things are tough, drought, strain.
Right.
But they actually make the tree stronger, more resilient in the long run. It's a great metaphor.
It really is. And it mirrors the human experience so well. It reminds me of Carol Dweck's work at Stanford, the whole mindset theory.
Oh, right. Challenges as opportunity.
Exactly. Challenges aren't threats. They're chances to grow. Failure isn't, the end. It's a springboard.
A springboard for development.
Yes. And this isn't just like a feel-good idea. It's rooted in neuroplasticity. Your brain actually changes, physically adapts when you learn from mistakes. So the insight here is that strain creates a real structural change in character. You become fundamentally stronger.
Not just better at something, but stronger overall. Okay, so if that's the goal, how do you actually cultivate that character? How does Share Tree do it?
Well, it starts with having a shared language. They use these things called character cards.
Oh, based on the VIA classification, right? Peterson and Seligman.
That's the one. They looked back over, 2,500 years of thought?
Yeah, something like that.
And identified 24 positive traits, universally valued things like kindness, bravery, grouped under 6 core virtues.
So Share Tree takes this massive body of work
and makes it practical, operationalizes it. So when you send a leaf on their app, say, acknowledging someone's bravery.
You're not just saying good job.
No, you're using a specific, scientifically defined concept. It turns into this virtue literacy engine. It trains both people, the sender and the receiver, to see and amplify the good stuff in each other.
Intentionally growing virtue with every interaction. And what about that evolution cycle in the app? From seed to tree. Is that just for fun?
No, it's actually quite clever. It mirrors established developmental psychology. It guides people through stages, towards maturity and purpose.
Aiming for that post-conventional level, principled contribution.
Exactly. Moving beyond just rules to contributing because it's the right thing for the whole group.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly. Talk about the leaf system again. What's happening in the brain when you send or receive one?
This is fascinating. It's basically a neurobiological event. Sending or receiving a leaf activates brain regions linked to social thinking, empathy.
And triggers chemicals.
Right. You get dopamine, that's the reward hit, and oxytocin.
The bonding hormone, trust.
Exactly. So you could almost think of Share Tree as a kind of, a digital oxytocin delivery system.
Interesting way to put it. Scalable, low-effort, high-frequency interactions.
To build those crucial social bonds across the organization.
Which leads right into psychological safety, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Amy Edmondson's work.
Absolutely. That feeling you won't get punished for speaking up, for making a mistake, for trying something new.
And high-performing teams need that. They talk about errors openly.
They do. Share Tree helps create that space because leaders and peers can actively reinforce things like bravery or honesty when someone does speak up or admit an error.
So it shifts the culture away from thinking recognition is scarce.
Towards this idea of generative abundance, there's always more good to recognize.
And that changes feedback too, right? The 360 isn't about finding flaws.
Not at all. It's framed as a discovery tool. Think appreciative inquiry. Instead of what's broken, it's what's working really well here.
And that culture DNA placemat it generates.
It becomes like a map of the organization's positive energy. Leaders can see the existing strengths and, amplify them.
So what kind of culture does this deliberately cultivate?
Well, using the competing values framework, it seems engineered to build a blend. You get the clan culture, collaboration, belonging, taking care of people, but also adhocracy, innovation, adaptability, taking smart risks. It's finding that balance.
Nurturing people, but also pushing forward. Okay, the big question then, does this nice, supportive culture actually drive results? The bottom line?
Yes, the crucial link. And the data is pretty clear on this. Gallup's huge meta-analyses show it time and again.
What kind of numbers are we talking?
Highly engaged workplaces see things like 23% higher profitability, 18% higher sales productivity, 10% better customer loyalty.
Wow. And lower turnover, less absenteeism.
Significantly lower. And what's really key is that this link between engagement and performance, it gets stronger when times are tough.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and ShareTree seems to directly hit those engagement drivers that Gallup identified in their Q12 survey. Things like knowing what's expected, having opportunities to learn, even having a best friend at work.
So it's not just about positive vibes. It's systematically building the conditions for better business outcomes.
Precisely.
Okay, so pulling it all together. The real power here seems to be this self-reinforcing cycle, this flywheel effect.
That's a great way to describe it.
Individual character grows, which fuels better connections and trust,
Which builds a thriving, adaptable culture,
driving actual measurable performance.
which then encourages more investment back into strengthening character and connection. It's a whole ecosystem.
A living system.
Yeah.
Okay, let's leave our listeners with something to think about.
All right. How about this? Consider your own team or organization. What are the underlying assumptions currently shaping your system? And how could you maybe leverage some of these insights we've discussed
Around character, connection, positive reinforcement.
to intentionally cultivate a culture that's really rooted in purpose, genuine connection, and that idea of generative abundance?